What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker here, and we're back with another TBC video, and we're going to cover a very strong gold making method. In this one we're going to look at prospecting, which is the main way that I have been making money in TBC Classic. So this should be very interesting. We'll take a look at my results first off the bat, and then we'll go over the basics of prospecting, which is sort of the main way where jewel crafting actually brings in profit. Take a look at a little bit of like what ores to prospect, what prices to try to buy at, how that works. Then we'll talk a little bit about the recipes and the gem types that you can craft, how you can sell them, and how you make sure that you're actually making a profit in this market long term. So yeah, this is one of the strongest gold making methods in all of TBC, and sort of the main reason why I even wanted to play TBC at all again, because well, old school jewel crafting is just so good. So yeah, if you wanna join us and make some gold clicking prospect, then let's watch this video. All right, so this is the beginning. First we're gonna look. This is how much gold I've spent on. Well, I filtered on the ledger. So this is ore, adamantite ore, fel iron ore, cut gems, because I've bought them every once in a while to to reset, and uncut gems. And I've spent on this a total of 17,600 gold. As we can see, there was a period for starting from about 160 days ago, which is just after TBC launched, lasting to about 135 or 133 days ago. So I played about a month at launch, and then I had the gap of 90 days, and we started up again about a little over a month ago, pretty much. And yeah, I've spent 17,500 gold on ore and gems and all that jazz. This is a quite substantial amount of money, of course. So let's see if, but I have made a good bit of profit, as we'll see when we'll go over to the revenue side. So let's take a look at how much gold I've made selling this stuff. So here we are on the sales. This is the total sales for all cut and uncut gems that you can prospect from fel iron ore or adamantite ore, the ore you get directly. So there are some things that even are not included here, but as we can see, my total sales are 27,700. So that puts me at a little bit over 10,000 gold in profit. And this does not include mercurial adamantite ore or adamantite powder and fel iron powder, which I've sold some of. I don't think that's going to be humongous. That's going to be like maybe a couple of hundred gold more. We can actually check that out fairly easily. But that's what we made here, more than 10,000 gold. And I've even with a large break, so if you just look at say the last 30 days, we can see that I've made 4,200 in sales, which doesn't really matter that much. I haven't been doing much prospecting or gold making with jewel crafting lately, because it's been very hard to find cheap ores. But yeah, this is super profitable. There's a reason why this is my favorite market. It's been fantastic for me. And now we're going to take a look at exactly how you can go about doing this and how you make your gold with prospecting and cutting gems. All right, so now we are on my jewel crafter. So I have a bunch of adamantite ore, which is the main ore I usually prospect. We'll go into why. In this TSM destroying window, it actually shows you the chance of getting the various items, but it's a little bit hard to tell. So I've cleaned it up a little bit and added it to a spreadsheet that you can find in the description. Because you have a chance of getting gems. You'll get at least one uncommon gem every time, and then you have a chance of getting a rare gem in addition. As you can see, there's an equal chance of getting every rare gem. This percentage right here is per prospect, so per 5 ore, because you use up 5 ore when you prospect. And if I do this using TSM, click destroy next, then we'll prospect. And I got 1 blood garnet and 1 adamantite powder, which you always get. So there's a chance to get more than 1 uncommon gem as well, a small chance to get that. So this number right here is the number that you get on average per ore. So if you multiply this by the value of deep peridot and then do the same for all of these gems, then you find the average value of prospecting 1 gem or 1 piece of ore. So TSM also includes this information at the top of the tooltip. There's a prospect value. So we can see that for adamantite ore in my realm, it's worth about 2 gold and 16 silver to prospect it. course, it's selling for 2 gold, 36 silver, so that's a terrible deal right now, sadly. Very hard to find enough ore on my realm. But that's the gist of it. That's what we're looking for. So this is what it looks like in spreadsheet format. Now, I sometimes prefer to do it this way, and the reason is very simple. Because when I do it this way, I know all of the input numbers, and I can also override them, because there's one big question is, what are you going to value your gems at that you get from prospecting? Are they worth what the uncut gem is worth, or are they worth what the most expensive cut you can sell is worth, or is it worth what the average price of the cuts? There's no correct answer here. I generally prefer to make sure that I'm making a profit even if I were to sell all of my gems uncut, but I also know that I will be making 5, 10, 20 gold extra per gem by cutting them. It depends a little bit on the value. Now, one thing that will obviously strike out, and this is guaranteed on all of your realms, Living Ruby is by far the most valuable gem, followed by Noble Topaz, followed by Dawnstone, followed by Knight's Eye. These are the only ones that have good throughput increasing stats. They are the best ones and the most popular ones. That's on every realm. Now, this one does all the math for you, and we're even integrated with the nexushub.co API, so you can use this to get price data directly for your realm to figure out if it's profitable or not. So obviously you would want to make a copy here, because the original is not going to be changed, and then you add your server name here, so with dashes instead of spaces, and you also have to add your factions. My server is Sandalar Tribe Alliance, and then we get all the data here, and we can tell that if I can buy my adamantite ore at 1.8 gold, then I'll be making about 40 silver per ore, which is pretty good, because they're worth about 2.2 gold according to this calculation. Because we have the adamantite powder as well. I'm even valuing the adamantite powder at just the vendor sell price here. You can turn it into mercurial adamantite, and that can sometimes be profitable, but the deposit cost is generally quite high due to the vendor sell price. Now, it's very important, one thing to note here. These numbers are very small, and almost all of the value from prospecting comes from the rare gems, and specifically a lot of the value comes from the living rubies. So it's very important that you prospect enough ore. You need to prospect a fairly large sample size in total, because otherwise you're gambling. You might get lucky and prospect 200 ore and get 3 living rubies, and you're super happy because you're rich. Or you get unlucky and you prospect 500 ore and you don't get a single living ruby, you just get talasites, and you lose a ton of gold. So it's very important that you're planning to go into this whole hog and buy large amounts of ore. Generally speaking, adamantite ore is way better to prospect than fel iron ore, simply because you're getting rare gems at 4 times the rate. So you'll spend a lot less time prospecting than if you were to do fel iron ore. So I strongly suggest sticking to adamantite, and it's also generally more profitable. Now, you can sometimes on my realm, for instance, the value of fel iron is about 70 silver prospected, and I've found fel iron as cheap as 40 silver. And it's hard to pass up the opportunity to double your money, but generally speaking, you prefer adamantite because it's more time efficient. And then, so that's the basics. This is the most important part, is just figuring out how much is the ore actually worth, or the gems you get from prospecting on average worth, and then start buying ore in bulk at profitable prices and prospect it. Now, when you're prospecting, this is something that takes quite a bit of time, so this is something that you want to speed up as much as possible. There are 2 main options. You can use the TSM destroying UI, which you just open by typing /TSM and then a space and then destroy into chat. And now I closed it again. And by just clicking destroy next. It'll cast prospecting, it'll go with whatever ore is at the top, and it's pretty quick. You can even add this to your TSM macro. So you can do, if you go to the settings page and macros, you can add the destroy next button, and then I can add this to control up and down. And now I can use the scroll wheel to do this, so I don't have to click. I actually find that I often prefer to do this another way, though, and that's to do this with the macro. And it's very simple to make a a prospecting macro. You'll just call it whatever you want to, prospect, and then you type in /cast prospecting, and then /use whatever ore type you want to use. So in this type, adamantite ore. Then I'll save this one, and we can pull this down to my bars wherever. So now we just click the keybind down here, and it'll prospect. Now the one thing to note about this is that this will not work. The prospecting macro will not work if the first instance of ore in your inventory is smaller than a stack of 5. So now that this 4 stack is the first one, and I click the button, nothing happens. Nothing happens. So I have to move this to the bottom of my bags, and now it works. So that's the only thing to be aware of. That is not an issue with the TSM destroy. If you prefer that, I like this one because I feel like it's easier to just like keybind this to one easy button and just click it. Now, one thing you will have to do is be ready to spend some gold on recipes in addition to ore. So while you can, and if you want to start out, it's probably possible to just sell the uncut gems. But if you look through my jewel crafting window here, you'll see that for most of the recipes I have, we're looking at between 5 and 20 gold in added value, as high as 30 for the bold living ruby from cutting the gems. That's going to lead to a very significant profit that you otherwise wouldn't get, and means that it's going to be very hard to compete with people who have cuts, because they can afford to buy ore slightly more expensively than you and still make gold. Almost all of the recipes, a vast majority of the rare recipes, which are the important ones to get, are world drop recipes that are BOE, which means you need to just buy them from the auction house. When starting out, get one for each color type and prioritize ones that are very popular on meta classes. So stuff like Shifting Night's Eye, Agility, and Stamina. This is good. Hunters use this, tanks use this. If they need to activate a blue socket, this is one of the best ways to do it for a hunter, which is a very popular class. Glowing Night's Eye is the same idea for warlocks and casters. If they need to activate a blue socket for either a socket bonus or a meta gem. For red gems, definitely go with either the Runed Living Ruby or the Delicate Living Ruby if you can. Those are the most popular ones, but the Bold Living Ruby also sells pretty well, so don't be afraid of that one. For yellow, you can get the Mystic Dawnstone from farming in Nagrand, in Hala, the battle tokens and stuff, so that's pretty easy to get. And we'll save you some gold. For the other ones, Smooth Dawnstone, Thick Dawnstone, Rigid Dawnstone are some of the better ones. For orange, the Veiled Noble Topaz is pretty good with spell hit and spell damage. There's a Wicked one I think is also potent, can also be good for people who want crit. There's a couple of good ones there. I don't have as many because I haven't been buying all of them. For green gems, there really aren't any great ones. Dazzling has been one of the better for me, but you just want to get rid of some stuff. For blue gems, there's one recipe that matters. It's Solid Star of Elune. For tanks, literally all the others are pretty much pointless. You might sell some, like Sparkling or Lustrous or whatever, to healers who really prioritize MP5. But overall, whatever. Just get the solid and you're solid. Longer term, it's very important to get a good spread of recipes, because if you start increasing your ore prospecting amounts, it's going to be harder and harder to sell all of your gems as just one cut, which is why you need to get more recipes. The recipes are still expensive, so that is going to be a little bit of an issue getting started. Hopefully you're at the point where like you have 1,000, 2,000 gold, a couple of hundred gold, so you can get started. The recipes are, the more expensive ones are approaching 1,000 gold on my realm at least. I'm not sure how it is all around the globe. And then the cheaper ones you can get for a couple of hundred gold and get started fairly easily. So I prefer to just go with a good mix. But if you want to go heavily into the most profitable one and do more reposting, you can do that as well. It doesn't really matter that much. Now, one thing that's a little annoying about prospecting is you end up with a huge amount of uncommon gems, and these are a little bit hard to get rid of. If you do a lot of prospecting, you'll inevitably end up with loads of these. Back at launch, prices were a little low. Now they are selling for a profit, but they take up a lot of inventory slots if you craft them into finished gems, because each gem takes up one slot. So what I would suggest is to keep about 2 or 3 of each cut on your auction house character and post those. You'll make a couple of gold. Like, look at this, we're making 4 or 5 gold per gem. This actually stacks up. In addition, I do the brilliant glass craft. It's a crafting cost of 20 gold. It'll give a random gem type, and just I know that the runed living or the living ruby price alone is enough that I know that this on average makes me a profit. So I just do this. This is on the daily cooldown. It takes 3 of each gem. Some gem types are also used in the transmutes for Earthstorm diamonds and Skyfire diamonds. So you can use those if you have a transmute. You can also try to sell the uncut gems every once in a while. That's also possible to people leveling jewel crafting or whatever. If worst comes to worst, you can vendor them, but I just sell them off slowly in cuts and then use them for brilliant glass. And if you get too many, then just sell a stack of 20, or sell them in small stacks. Or in the case of Azure Moonstones right now, as you can see, the minimum buyout is 20 silver, and the vendor's sell price is 25 silver. So at this point, you should probably just sell them to a vendor, which you can do. You should still be making money off of prospecting just from the value of the living rubies. But this is something that comes with the territory, as we can see from my sales data at the beginning of the video. It's still been wildly profitable, even if I'm still sitting on a stockpile of these. The one gem you should always sell, the blood garnets, the red ones, they sell really well because they have the big throughput stats, and living rubies are very, very expensive. So a lot of people will prefer these if they don't have a BIS piece or it's an alt that they just started and it's their initial gear pieces or whatever. They'll buy the uncommon ones because they're so much cheaper. So these are fantastic. So you're not gonna have an issue getting rid of those, that's for sure. When it comes to selling the gems, I obviously use Trade Skill Master just like I do for pretty much everything else. We can see that I have a couple of gems in my inventory right now. I post these in stacks of 1. For the uncommon gems, my settings or my operation is based on hard-coded gold prices, where my minimum price is 1 gold, normal price is 15 gold, and my maximum price is 50. That's what worked at launch. I think if they're below 1 gold, then generally you wouldn't really... The deposit cost is going to kill you if you're selling these for less than 1 gold, due to the 25 silver vendor sell price. So at that point, just do something else with it. For the uncommon, or for the rare gems, I use the crafting cost as the baseline. So for the ruined living ruby, my minimum price is 120% of the crafting costs. So right now, they're not actually getting posted, even though I would profit because I'm getting them for less than crafting cost by prospecting. I'd probably try that. I actually tried to reset these earlier today, but that didn't work out. But yeah, I post 1 of each because for all of these gems, the deposit cost is quite high. And I only post for 12 hours at the time. Once again, the vendor sell price is high. If you post for too long, you're going to get killed on deposit costs. And this is pretty competitive as a market. So you're typically either going to get the sale or get undercut and not get the sale within the first 12 hours anyway. So posting for a longer time period is, generally speaking, not worth it. Yeah. Most important thing overall, though, in this market is to make sure that you make your money when you buy your ore. As long as you buy your ore at good enough prices where you can make a significant profit, where the gems are worth more than the ore, then you're going to do fine. It doesn't really matter exactly what recipes you have, and then you just want to sell your gems out in whatever crafts you have available, and then slowly build up your number of different crafts. If you find that you can not keep... you have like one living ruby recipe, and with the gold you are allotting to ore, you can barely keep that one in stock, then don't bother buying any more living ruby recipes. There's no point. You're already selling out as fast as you can. Only buy out if you start to see that your stockpile is growing, then it makes sense. Obviously, there are other things we can do with jewel crafting as well. The meta gems sell really well. There are some others, but we focus specifically on prospecting because it's to such a large degree the core of the profession, and that's where I made this 11,000 profit that I showed you. That's just from prospecting and selling the gems cutting and selling the gems. Of course, if we included the cost of recipes, the profit wouldn't have been that high, but we'd still be looking. I think I spent somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 gold on recipes. I bought them very early on, and if I'd been reposting the entire time since launch, then we'd probably be looking at an even bigger number. So this is a great market, and hopefully this is gonna show you in the right direction. Alright guys, hopefully you learned something from this video and you're excited to go out and try your hand at making gold with jewel crafting. If you need some TSM settings, you can find those linked in the blog post in the description for the video. You can also find the spreadsheet linked in the description, and just make sure you make a copy of it. If you request access, I won't respond. You'll have to make a copy yourself. It's very easy. Just click on File, make a copy, and then add your server name, and it'll automatically download the pricing data, and you can get to work. Buying cheap ore. At least now you'll know what the price is that you need to buy at, and hopefully you can make some profit. Good luck. We'll see you in the next video.